Time.
I call Tracy Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I just want to thank you very much to the member and the chair for her contribution. That was very helpful. And I just want to go over so that the people who are listening understand what is very likely to be voted down with regard to the Parental Leave Employment Protection Regulations 2002, because this is what Clause 7 does. Clause 7 amends the Parental Leave and Employment Protection Regulations 2002. And what it does, it's clear, nobody's actually articulated this and said exactly what this does to this point in the debate. And it changes those regulations to say, in the following provisions of the Parental Leave and Employment Protection Regulations 2002, 16 weeks means 16 weeks, or in respect of a person who gives birth to either to 2 or more children as the result of one pregnancy and assumes or intends to assume the care of those children, and to one or more children before 37 weeks of gestation where the child or children survive birth for the duration of the parental leave period, or to a child whose impairment would entitle the person to a government-funded disability support, 22 weeks. So there's two numbers in there. There's 16 weeks and 22 weeks, and this is how the regulations would be amended. Now, why are those two numbers really important when we amend the regulations? Well, what's the difference between the 16 weeks and 22 weeks? It's 6 weeks. 6 weeks difference. Often you have babies born, when we're talking about these circumstances, babies are born about 35, 36 weeks. And normally, normal gestation would be 40 to 42 weeks. That's a 6-week difference. All this change to the regulations is trying to do is to bring these parents and these babies to a point of ground zero. To a point of ground zero, the same place that every full-term pregnancy ends up at. That's all it's trying to do. It's just trying to support those babies and those parents with that simple change to the regulations 2002 to allow these babies and these parents to be at ground zero like everybody else once those babies end up out of hospital. Because that, look, in my personal experience, that's kind of where most people end up. It's not, we have much more tragic circumstances, often we do, but there's smaller numbers of those. Often it's a 35, 36-week birth into skaboo. Once you get to full term and everything's going tickety-boo, then home you go. And you can start at ground zero like everybody else. That's all Clause 7 is trying to do. That's actually all this whole piece of paper has been trying to do. So with all due respect to Ms. Dowie, who stood up and said, we'd love to, it's nice, but we can't afford it, when you hear the numbers from Mr. Haig, and you think about the small numbers of New Zealanders who actually require it, the argument doesn't stack up, Ms. Dowie. It becomes a philosophical argument, and that's unfortunate because all these amendments to the regulations 2002 are trying to do is to allow these parents and these babies to get to ground zero and then start off like everybody else.